a guest by the name of Paul Guthrie. Now, before I bring him on, let's just do some quick history real quick. Okay, so as everyone knows, I am a member of the Nation of Gods and Earths, the 5% Nation. You know, I've been dealing with this knowledge most of my life, from a young teenager. Needless to say, I've had influences with, Nation Islam, those are our brothers. We see these as our brothers. We study the same lessons. Our 120 lessons comes from the Nation of Islam lessons. Now, these lessons, originally the Nation of Islam was started by W.D. Farad and Elijah Muhammad. W.D. Farad was the teacher. Elijah was the student, basically. It is said by people in the Nation of Islam that W.D. Farad was Allah in person, that, came here in person to teach, the black man in the wilderness of North America, the knowledge of himself, the lost knowledge of himself, and that Elijah Muhammad was his messenger. Now, within the lessons that we study, it is said that W.D. Farad, who some also called Master Farad Muhammad, that he originates and comes from the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. Now, within our lessons, there's certain things that allude to where he comes from, as far as, like distances that are referenced within our lessons and all that, his name, as far as being Wallace D. Ford, there's a lot of things that go into this, and right now, for certain people, this might feel like a ripping off of a Band-Aid or something like that. I just want to state unequivocally, we have love here for Master Farad and the Nation of Islam. And I'm not here to try to be disrespectful to anybody or anything like that, but I am here to always uncover truth wherever that truth may lead me. Okay? So with that being said, I came across some information and some videos from a brother named Paul Guthrie, who we're about to bring in right this moment. And, I think this is something we need to share amongst our community, have a dialogue. I know for you, you're like a layman to this. You as well, Rage. A lot of people in this room might be laymen to this. So there's people that have been following this issue for a while, but then we need the average person to just strive to follow along with what's going on right now too. So just attempt to take this in. You see what I'm saying? About what we're about to build on.
So I'll be asking questions on behalf of the people that don't have a clue. Although I do have a clue. Like, I know, you're gonna have to stop sometimes and just kind of like speak, Islam for dummies.
That's okay. So and another point of contention that the brother has brought up was what W.D. Farad, what he was teaching, was it truly Islam, or did it actually lean more towards Buddhism? Okay. This is radical thinking for some people.
Heresy for others.
Exactly. Yes, it is. Shout out to everybody that's in the room right now. We got love for everybody, but we getting ready to bring our brother Paul Guthrie on right about now. And we gonna welcome him to the Godcast. All right, so we're here with our guest, Paul Guthrie. Unfortunately, we don't have him on the video, but we do have him on audio. How are you, Brother Guthrie?
I'm doing well. And the reason that I'm not on video is completely unknown, right?
Yeah,
we don't know why the stream isn't working.
Rod Digger believes it's because Mercury is about to go into retrograde.
That's probably it.
Yeah, and like we're literally like 2 days away.
It's a toss-up between that or the powers that be trying to stop this information from coming out.
And who are the powers that be, Rod Digger?
PTB posse, PTB and them.
All right, so listen, welcome to the Not a Mean Godcast. Thank you for coming on. So before you get started, I know you wanted to clear some things up initially. When I put out this flyer that you were going to be on, I actually was contacted by my brother Wakil Allah, who's actually in the house right now. Peace to Wakil. And he contacted me about having Dr. Wesley Muhammad come on this program as well to basically to refute certain things you may have to say tonight. And so whatever, we went back and forth. I talked to you, I talked to them, and we came to the conclusion that we're going to have a debate in another 2 weeks. You're going to come tonight, present your case. The brother Wesley Muhammad will come next week and present his case. And then the following week, we will have a long-awaited debate that many people in the conscious community have been waiting for. Yes?
Well, I did accept his challenge to debate, and the thing is, he has not stated anywhere publicly that he will debate. He's saying on this update it's going to be some type of a dialogue. So that's taking the words and changing them from what you understood.
They're saying they can't hear Brother Paul. Sorry for cutting you off real quick. They're saying
they're not going to hear him.
Oh, they're not going to hear him. Oh, all right. Sorry, at home, you're going to have to wait for this. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so they're saying that there is a debate. Well, I mean, you're saying he wants to debate. He has not he did challenge me. However, he's not saying that there is a debate. I don't see anywhere where he says that he is going to debate. He's saying he is accepting somebody else's invitation, and I don't know who else invited him to come on anything.
Well, me and my brother Reality spoke to him last night, and we're going to a debate was agreed to. A debate was agreed to. He's willing to debate you.
He hasn't done that. I don't see any I'm saying publicly, I am willing to debate him. I will accept the challenge to debate him.
And you're saying that's all you want to do. You don't want to have a discussion. You only want to debate.
It's not possible to have dialogue unless word is bond. So if it is a debate, he should say that it is a debate and don't change it to a dialogue. It's a big difference. A dialogue is different from a debate. I don't mind having dialogues. That's usually what I do have. However, he agreed that it would be a debate, and now he's changed it. In the public, he's changed it to a dialogue. So I don't want words to be flipped and changed like that. If it is a debate, if you understand it is a debate, and he understood it, that should be made public. He should state publicly that it is a debate. Dr. Wesley Muhammad, the representative of Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. If he wants to debate me, I'm willing to debate him.
Okay, well.
At any time. What you do with him next week, that's fine. That's on his own time. He can.
Okay,
it's fine.
Well, in the interest of time, he has said that to me he will debate, and we'll get to the part of him publicly saying that at another time. Right now, we want to get down to the nitty-gritty to the information that you have to offer.
Yes,
it is
sir.
Such a shame that the people on Shindig cannot hear this right now. Goodness gracious.
Well, let them know that you're going to rebroadcast it. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
well, that's definitely going to be rebroadcast, but I'm just saying.
Okay, and I'm
Shindig
sorry.
people, we had some technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, y'all gonna have to hear this when we put it out. Sorry.
Right. Once the segment actually airs on its physical day, which would be Monday of next week, like it'll have all the bells and whistles and video necessary to correlate with the show. So don't worry. This is just a more, personal take in real time that we do with our viewers. But the actual show segment will be airing next Monday, and they'll see you and hear everything you're speaking.
So right now, let's get into the nitty gritty. As someone who, my first real exposure to knowledge of self was kind of through, Nation of Islam literature. I read Message to the Black Man early. I read How to Eat to Live, Supreme Wisdom, Our Savior Has Arrived. All of these books were things that helped shape my youth even before I came into the knowledge of myself as a 5%er. I think the only thing that really stopped me from being, like a Muslim in the NOI was the fact that I was just pretty young and I wasn't ready for that type of discipline. I was still a street dude. I wasn't ready to put on a suit and all of that. I wanted to still hang out and mess with girls and smoke weed, but I wanted that knowledge, you see? And so a brother who was initially giving it to me, an older brother by the name of Bar Kim, he took me out to Mosque number 7 out in when it was out in Utica Avenue in Brooklyn. And this is when Jesse Jackson was running for president, and we went out there to support him as the NOI and all this type of stuff. But I ended up going with the gods. But some Master Farad Muhammad, W.D. Farad, is somebody near and dear to us. And in our lessons, it states that the root of civilization is in the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. I've always been taught that W.D. Farad came from the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. This is what I've always been taught, and and from what we understand, we know that this is not traditional Islam, but we've always been taught that Farad taught the people Islam. So tell me, Brother Paul, what new information you feel you have to bring to the table on this subject.
Thank you, and I want to start this by saying that I've studied the nation and the nation has had a very strong, positive influence on many, many people. And the teachings of W.D. Farad is what drives those teachings. W.D. Farad is the one who crafted those lessons. He wrote those lessons. And he taught students. He taught thousands of students in both Detroit and Chicago. And I'm one of those students in that I study the teachings of W.D. Farad. I study what he taught, and it has had a big influence on me.
But you were not a member of the Nation of Islam, correct?
I'm not a registered Muslim. I never have been a registered Muslim.
Okay, just to be clear.
Now, you had mentioned that you were taught that W.D. Farad comes from Mecca.
Correct.
Where is that in the 120? Where is that in the Supreme Wisdom Lessons? That's not part of what W.D. Farad taught. I don't see that in the Supreme Wisdom Lessons. And so all I'm doing is asking the question, who's coming up with this? Who's saying that he's from there? And why is it that he's not saying he's from there? That's just one point on something that you just mentioned. He never says he's from Mecca, Arabia, in those lessons. In the lessons that he left for us to study.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it says the root of civilization is in the holy city of Mecca.
Yes, sir.
What about that? Let's talk about just about that.
Okay.
Can the root of civilization be at the holy city of Mecca? How old is the holy city of Mecca?
Yes, except the holy city of Mecca is not the one in Arabia with the Kaaba in it. That city wasn't built until after the fall of Rome. So Rome falls in about 476, between 410 and 476 AD, after the death of Jesus, or after the Christian era, if one wants to say Christian era. 400 plus years after the beginning of the Christian era, Mecca appears in the records. Historically, Mecca does not exist prior to that. There's no evidence of it prior to that. It wasn't known by the people of ancient Kemet, Egypt, and they were all over that place. If it was there, why didn't they mention it? Why didn't they know anything about it if it was there? So, for something to be the root is that from which other things grow or come out of. There was many civilizations much older than that city called Mecca, Arabia. That you don't find that until after the fall of Rome. So I don't see how that would be called the root of civilization.
Is Mecca in the desert? Isn't Mecca in the desert? Isn't it in the desert? I'm just
yeah.
It is.
It's in a desert climate.
Right.
Except desert climate or semi-desert climate doesn't really tell us all that much, because I'm in a desert. San Diego, California, where I live, is a semi-desert.
Right.
Except there's trees, there's plants, because there's water brought into San Diego, so they transformed. And Mecca is in what is today a semi-desert or desert region.
I have a question.
Real quick, my brother Rage right here has a question for you.
You said that Rome fell like around 424 AD, right?
I can live with that, yeah. I didn't say 424, but it fell in the 5th century. There's questions as to when Rome fell, because it didn't fall with one fell sweep. It fell over a period of time. And so at what point someone wants to say that constitutes the fall of Rome, different people are going to say it was 410, it was 476, or any point in between that.
What's your question, Rage?
That was the question. So this predates the Byzantine Empire, obviously, right? This is way before then, Constantine and all that.
What's his question?
Yeah, no, I'm clear with you. The other thing is, regarding where Mecca is and who founded the city, where does the story of Ishmael, the descendant of Abraham, come in? Because, according to the Abrahamic ideology...
You're taking us off course right now.
I am?
Yeah, way off course.
Okay, my bad.
We're talking about W.D. Farrar.
Well, he mentioned Mecca.
Yeah, right. But he just mentioned Mecca just to say that within the lessons that we've learned,
right.
It states that Mecca is the root of civilization. We're just saying, and he's just saying basically that can't be true because it didn't exist long enough to be considered the root of civilization. But we're sticking our questions to W.D. Farrar and what's stated in the lessons that we've learned. I don't know about Ishmael and all these other.
Okay, well, let me ask a simpler question. Is it possible that this place always did exist and it just was renamed because, Istanbul was once Constantinople? Like, is it possible that, Mecca just became, the name after some other folks named it that, but it was always something else?
Did you hear that, Paul?
Yes, I did. That's a great question. And yes, that is possible. However, there's nothing to substantiate it. There's no evidence. It is possible that New York City existed back 300 BC. That's possible.
Okay.
But there's no evidence to substantiate it, right? So I'm using a very extreme example. New York City did not exist in 300 BC.
Okay.
Is it possible? Sure, it's possible.
Well, listen, we
there's no evidence. It's not probable. Now, I'm not saying that lesson is wrong. If you listen to that lesson, it says that Mecca, it gives the location, and the location whenever Mecca is described in the lessons, it describes the Indus Valley region of India, which is north of the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
And it was also known as Mlecha. Mm-hmm. The ancients knew about this ancient civilization that is the root of civilization on the Asian continent. And so the root of civilization in Asia, not in Africa, not all over the world, but the root of civilization in Asia is Mlecha. And it is located in the location that is prescribed in those lessons, that is described in those lessons. It is also 9,000 miles by water from the eastern seaboard of the United States, which is the distance that W.D. Farad traveled.
Now, listen, I wanted to talk about distances when we come back, because we got to go to break real quick. So when we come back, I want to talk about that 9,000 miles that's in the lessons where it says, in the 1 to 36 that we couldn't, swim the 9,000 miles. Also, in the culture degree, in the 1 to 14 where it talks about why do we run Yaqub and his May Devil over the hot Arabian desert into the caves of West Asia, as they now call Europe. We also know there's a plus degree that goes with that. We always called it General Monk, first of all. I know that you say General Muck, and it was probably mucked up around, the pronunciation of it. But as far as in the 5% nation, I always knew that plus degree as General Monk. But in that lesson, we talk about the 2,200 miles, and we made him walk every step of the way. So we're going to talk about that when we come back from break, because I want to get into that, because that also goes into why the holy city of Mecca, according to you, could not be the root of civilization that's being spoken about in 120 lessons. So we'll get to that when we come back.
Peace. It's the absence of all confusion. United we stand, divided we fall. 2 fingers together is the real peace sign, y'all. Brand Nubian peace gear. Hoodies. T-shirts. Snapbacks. Available at hoodg.com. Get yours.
Peace. Welcome back to the Not a Mean Godcast. I'm Lord Jamar.
I'm Digga.
Got my man Rage, Alex, Harold. And right about now, we got our distinguished guest in the house, Mr. Paul Guthrie. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing good. Peace. Thank you.
Yes. So we're here discussing the topic, is W.D. Farad truly from Arabia, the holy city of Mecca? Or is he actually from where Paul Guthrie says he's from is India? And he gives us certain things in the lessons that give us an indication that he's actually from India and not from the holy city of Mecca. So why don't we go over some of those things as far as the mathematics of what we have in our lessons, as far as the 9,000 miles and the 2,200 miles making the devil walk to the Caucasus Mountains. Let's get into some of that. Paul?
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. According to the teachings of W.D. Farad, they were cast out of the root of civilization and made to walk 2,200 miles
now we're
up
talking
to
about the Caucasian,
the mountains.
yes?
Yes.
The Caucasian
up to the mountains.
was cast out of the holy city, and he was made to walk 2,200 miles into the caves of West Asia, as they now call Europe, the Caucasus Mountains, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And halfway, at the distance of 1,100 miles, there is a oasis where they stopped at a oasis.
Mm-hmm.
This happens to be the exact distance and the exact description of a route from the Indus Valley civilization of India, from that part of India, Western India. By India, I want to make sure that I define what I mean by India. India was split into a number of countries in 1947 by the British. One of those countries is called Pakistan. Pakistan was, in 1930, India. There was no Pakistan prior to 1947. The country of Pakistan was not there. Just like there was no New York in 300 BC. We can say that that city was not there, that it was founded at a certain time. Mm-hmm. We can say that the country here, this country that we live in, was founded at a certain time. It was still land here, but it wasn't called the United States of America. Well, this country was not called Pakistan, it was called India. And that western part is where W.D. Farad comes from, the western part of India. And if you measure from there, General Mukmuk or General Mukmuk traveled westward. He traveled westward. First, he traveled westward, according to the lessons. You cannot travel westward from Mecca on that in the Muslim Mecca. You can't travel westward unless you're going to walk across the Red Sea, because there's a Red Sea there. So you can't be walking westward because you're going to run into water. So unless someone is claiming that they walked on water, there's no way that that fits the description of where they were driven from. From the Indus Valley of India, you travel westward, then you travel northwestward, which is exactly what's taught in his teachings. It's taught in the lessons. Halfway, there is a oasis, and if you measure halfway, and I have a series on YouTube, you can watch it. People may have already watched it.
And what's the name of that series?
It's called Get on Board the Wheel.
Part 1 and 2, correct?
Part 1 and 2. Also, there's a few other ones that I put there.
Trial by Mathematics.
And so forth. But the distance, or we were pointing out that the distance of 2,200 miles is not the distance from Mecca. I've seen people try to do that. They get on some type of a Google map, and they show that they can drive from Mecca up to the Caucasus Mountains, and it's 2,200 miles. The problem with that is is that takes them really to a town north of the Caucasus Mountains that happens to be called Caucasus. And if you zoom in on the map, you'll see that they're making U-turns, driving down freeways that go from city to city and town to town. You have to zoom in, and you'll see it's a very circuitous route that they're taking in order to come up with that 2,200 miles. It's nothing that you're going to walk. No one's going to walk back and forth and make U-turns and loops on some modern freeways that didn't even exist back in that era.
Well, what about the 9,000 miles from the eastern seaboard of America to, when it says we couldn't swim the 9,000 miles to get back home?
Yes, sir. Well,
would that distance add up from the holy city of Mecca to the eastern seaboard of America?
No. In fact, if you watch the video that I made that's called Trial by Mathematics, you'll see that we go right past Mecca, and it's way short. It's way short, and we take the path by water to India. Indus Valley civilization is 9,000.01 miles by water. 0.01 miles is the distance of a 3-point shot in basketball. So that's pretty close. Okay, that's 9,000 miles. And so when we take all of the data, all of the information, all of the teachings, and we put those pieces together, we put together all of the evidence. All of it points to India. W.D. Farad comes from India. He wrote in Urdu, and we have samples of his handwriting in Urdu. Urdu is the language of India. He did not write in Arabic. There's no examples of his handwriting in Arabic.
What about his name itself? Like Wallace, is that an Arabic name? Is Farad an Arabic name?
That's a great question. Farad is not Arabic. Farid is Arabic, and they have since stripped W.D. Farad of his name. Everyone who says that they had heard him use his name say that he pronounced his name Farad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's been stripped of that name. He's no longer called Farad. That's the name that he said was his name or is his name. They called him Fard, which is an Arabic name. So they've given him an Arabic name. However, I'm talking about the man who taught in 1930 through 1934.
Mm-hmm.
He pronounced his name Farad, and sometimes it was even spelled Farrad. So either everyone is wrong that his name is Farad, everyone misheard him, and that's a possibility.
Except, I thought it was General Monk for a long time.
I have a question.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is General Monk. But this is something. Maybe this is something everyone agreed with up until very recently, when I pointed out, as a matter of fact, that his name is Farad, and that Farad is an Indian name. It's not an Arabic name. It's an Indian name.
I grew up for the last 35 years, always hearing Farad. But the Queen Rod Digger would like to ask you a question.
Very quickly, Wallace is a British name, and the British owned and operated and ran
India at that time.
Over India at that time. I'm sorry.
Yes. Go ahead, Digger.
Question. In regards to the geographical location of Mecca, is it possible that over these decades and these centuries that the landscape may have possibly just changed? I mean, with earthquakes and tectonic plates shifting and just all type of unexplainable nature things. Is it possible that maybe the landscape itself just may have moved and shifted and mess with the numbers?
That's possible. The thing is, if anyone can demonstrate that is true, they're going to win a Nobel Prize in geography.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because no one knows that. And all of the evidence suggests otherwise, that type of a shift, that type of a tectonic shift, in the past 70 years, because I'm going to the teachings of W.D. Farad.
Mm-hmm.
In the past 88 years, it didn't shift.
Okay.
It didn't shift during that time. I'm talking about what it is that he taught.
Okay,
now,
from the 30s. Okay.
I don't want to say that Mecca is not the holy city, because it is the holy city for many, many people. And if they choose that, that's fine. If that's what they believe, that's fine. All I'm looking at is what is taught by W.D. Farad, and I'm saying that all of the evidence that I looked at, when I look at the 120, when I look at the lessons, everything added up. W.D. Farad comes from India, and in fact, they've already pretty much admitted that. You know what the real problem is? The real problem has always been,
what's that?
Who's going to control this? That's the real problem. The real problem is who's going to control this. You cannot have some type of divine teachings, and you have someone who's not divinely sent discovering things in your lessons that you didn't hear in your personal conversations with God. And so very slowly they are moving towards that position. I mean the mainstream. The mainstream has taken big leaps and bounds into that position. W.D. Farad uses Arabic names all throughout the problem book. Usman, for example, we point out in part 1, Usman, that's not an Arabic name. The Arabic name is Uthman. W.D. Farad writes Usman. W.D. Farad uses Arabic names. Uses Urdu names. Shabazz is not Arabic, and that's pointed out in part 1.
Yeah.
Shabazz entered into India through the Persian Empire, and that's mentioned in part 1. All of the names that he uses, Quran Sharif. Get your fact checker. You got the fact checker there, right?
Yeah, you listening, fact checker?
I'm in tune.
Search Quran Sharif.
How you spell that?
Search Quran Sharif.
And he's spelling Quran with a K, not a Q.
Correct. Mm-hmm. You can spell it with a K or a Q, and just do both and see where those come from. Every Quran Sharif is from India, and W.D. Farad, he called it the Quran Sharif,
not just Quran.
And that's only called in India. That's India.
Yeah.
And I did see a writing just earlier today where he did call it Quran Sharif. So listen.
He's from India. They've already admitted it. It's just that they have to take control of it and not let it. Yeah.
Brother Paul, you also contend that, we hear the Nation of Islam, but you contend that what Farad was really teaching was not Islam, but it was indeed Buddhism. Let's get into a little bit of that. What makes you say that?
Well, according to the word Islam, see, we have to define these words. Words have to have meaning to them. We have to agree on what the word means. If the word means I, self, Lord and Master, I say yes, he taught Islam.
Because that's the Islam I learned. That's the Islam that the 5%ers learn is I, self, Lord and Master. And we vehemently
that's what he taught. That's what he taught.
Make an assertion that we are not Muslims. But anyway, go ahead.
That is what W.D. Farad taught. I, self, Lord and Master. Mm-hmm. If that is the definition of that word.
Right.
The problem is that people have taken on a religious interpretation of that word, and they're saying that the word Islam is the word that we all hear when we talk of Islam, that there's one God. His name is
Allah.
There's no mention by W.D. Farad.
Muhammad.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's called the Shahada, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no mention in the lessons that he left for us to study where W.D. Farad uses the word or the name Allah or Prophet Muhammad. He doesn't even refer to Allah. He does not refer to Allah or the Prophet. And so in order for someone to teach Islam, it's very difficult to teach Islam without teaching about Allah and the Prophet. It's like teaching oceanography and never mentioning water. It's very difficult to teach oceanography, the study of the oceans, and never even make any mention of water.
It's almost the equivalent of trying to teach Christianity without mentioning Jesus.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, without mentioning Jesus or the
hip hop and not mentioning the black man.
Teaching hip hop and not even mentioning Jamar.
Okay.
Lord Jamar, right? And Rod Digger, right?
Okay.
That's right.
Hang on, brother Rage want to ask you something.
I have a looming question from a lay point of view. Like, who benefits and what's the point? Why all this cryptic speak to begin with? Was Farad Muhammad intentionally engaged in misleading lessons? Why was he misleading? The people who interpreted it, did they interpret it wrong and thereby mislead people intentionally or unintentionally? Who's benefiting from the deception? What's the point?
Okay, who was that from?
That was from Rage, our fact checker.
I mean, he's reading that from someone else, or is that his question?
No, that's his question.
Okay. The reason for it was that in 1930, Indians, if you were not above a certain height, you would be deported out of the country. They did not want Indians in this country. And W.D. Farad, this is covered in part 1 of the video, he was too short and he did not weigh enough according to the standards of what you had to weigh and the height that you had to be in order to stay inside of this country. So he was in and out of the Yes, as an Indian.
It has something to do with the caste? Does that has anything to do with the caste system?
He does teach about the caste system. He teaches about it. The story of Yaqub is really very, very similar to the story of caste, that there's these different colors, and according to the colors, that's where you are in life. So if your skin is white, what's called Varna, or the top caste, according to them, then you are a Brahmin, and you're on the top of the society, right? If your skin is darker, then you're, or a little darker than white, or you are in the middle, or you're lower than the white. And the darker it is, the lower you are in that system. And the Shudras or the slaves are black. And then the untouchables are the ones thrown completely out of the caste system. And so W.D. Farad said that if you see a Christian and a Hindu walking down the street, kill the Hindu first. Now, he didn't mean to actually kill anybody. He was just saying that caste system that they have over there, that the Aryans set up and that they have running over there, is the same thing that they pulled on us over here. See, there's people, I was reading some of the comments from somebody else's page, maybe yours or somebody else's, and they were saying that, why listen to me? I'm a white boy. Well, I'm not white, I'm black. Okay, I've never answered that publicly, but I've been called devil throughout this entire process of me trying to share what I see when I study. And there's a lot of people that think that I'm white. I'm not. I'm black.
You're just as light as my mama, and my mama is not nowhere white. Like she's full black.
Well, I can show and prove.
But you just as light.
Everything that I'm going to share, I have to be able to show and prove it. So I can show and prove if there's any questions. If they can type in and ask some questions, I'll be happy to answer any of those questions.
To answer Rage's question a little more, just to get a gist of, he's basically trying to understand why would, if he wasn't teaching Islam and he was truly teaching Buddhism, then why mix the two? What was the purpose of doing that at that time? Okay. Who benefits? Yes. Was he being deceptive, or was this some sort of strategy that he was using?
Okay. Yeah, right prior to 1930, there was Noble Drew Ali and the Moors, and there was a huge movement throughout the country, particularly among black folks, that being a Muslim, that was the fashion. It was sort of like the hip hop. Okay, you had to be like a Muslim. Islamism was in style. W.D. Farad shows up in Detroit in 1930, July 4th, 1930. And he spoke to the people in the language that they spoke. And they said this is what they wanted to be. This is what they wanted to be. He knew what it is that he wanted to teach them. And he only had a certain period of time to do what he did, because there was other works that he was involved in. And so he did what he had to do and let them, if they wanted to be Muslims or call themselves Muslims, they can do that. They could do that. But you don't see him pushing any of the pillars of that religion. Doesn't mean that the religion's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just not something for me. I'm with the teachings of W.D. Farad. He did not teach the pillars of Islam. He did not teach any of the principles of Islam as defined throughout the world. Now, if we define it as I, self, Lord and Master, yes, he taught that. Except he didn't teach zakat. He didn't teach fasting during the month of Ramadan. He didn't teach Hajj. He didn't teach a belief in the prophets. No belief. In fact, the only persons who are ever mentioned in his teachings about believers are those who believed in the teachings of the 10%, and that is the 85%. Okay? They believe in the lies of the 10%, right? That makes sense to you. You know what that means, right? Right, Jamar?
Absolutely.
Okay. And the believers who followed Yaqub, they believed in his teachings and they were followers. So he wasn't teaching any followers, and he wasn't teaching anybody to believe in anything.
But wasn't there a movement going on? Sorry, not to cut you up, but wasn't there a movement going on in India at that time that was dealing with like 85% and that same breakdown, which is incorporated into those lessons, as well as
Bahujan.
I don't know if we have enough time. Right. Yes. I don't know if we have enough time to talk about this. Maybe we're going to wait till the next segment. But, maybe
again, if somebody wants
about that, talk about when it says, they found out about us 60 years ago and how that deals with the book that came out in India.
It's called Slavery. It's called Slavery.
Damn, what was my other thought?
I do have a couple of questions too, but I'll save them for.
You know what? We're gonna take a break. We're gonna regroup, and then we're gonna come back. You know what I mean, Godcat?
Peace. It's the absence of all confusion. United we stand, divided we fall. Two fingers together is the real peace sign, y'all. Brand Nubian peace gear. Hoodies. T-shirts, snapbacks, available at hoodg.com. Get yours today.
Peace. Welcome back to the United Me and Godcast. I'm Lord Jamar.
I'm Digga.
We got my man Rage in the house, Alex, Harold in the house, along with our special guest, our 3-part guest. I think is this the first time we had a 3-part guest? Or maybe Vlad?
No, I think we may have had.
Well, we have our special 3-part guest in the house with us, Paul Guthrie, who's also the author. What was your first book?
Making of the White Man.
The Making of the White Man. Okay, he's the author of The Making of the White Man. Also produced 2 documentary series, Get on Board the Wheel series 1 and 2. On YouTube, you could check those out. He also is the founder of the Worldwide Dhamma Association. Is that what it's?
World Dhamma Foundation.
World Dhamma Foundation. So
Dhamma just means Buddhist,
right?
And Dhamma means reality. It's not a religion. It means reality.
Right.
Okay.
That's my brother's name, Reality. Shout to the God, Reality.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so maybe
wait, just to recap real quick. We're here talking about W.D. Farad, his origins. Are they what we've been taught? Did he really teach what we've been taught he taught? Continue.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the lighter question. The 1,100-mile oasis. What is that now geographically?
It is a oasis, and I show it on the video. I go on Google Maps and zoom in. It has a name to it. Yeah, that's what you're asking me. What is the name of it?
Where is it geographically located right now? What country?
Right now, it's located. I think it's in Aryan land. That has been changed and is called Iran. Oh. Iran means Aryan land, the land of the Aryans. Okay. So I think it's in that present boundaries of that present country. Yeah, the Aryans moved from the Caucasus Mountains into the centers of civilization in about 2000 BC, shortly thereafter. Over a course of many hundreds of years, they spread, moving southward into Egypt, into Sumer, into India. And the Aryans are the ones who came and wrote the book called the Rig Vedas. which is a story of the whites killing off the black people who they found there at that civilization, and they described them as black-skinned. And so the Aryans, or Iranians, as they're called modernly, that land, I think it's located in their land.
Okay.
And we call Caucasus Asians. You see, the Caucasus Mountains in West Asia, Caucasus Asians, Caucasians. That's where the name comes from.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I have my second question is, if we are to subscribe to your philosophy, does that completely invalidate the religion of Islam? Like, where do we go from here?
No, I wouldn't want anyone to change from their religion. I wouldn't want to do that. I would not advocate that anyone does that. All I'm saying is this is what I see. So I'm not trying to talk anybody into changing from what they already are. If that works for someone, then good. Except the problem that I see is this: over 88 years, we haven't gotten very far. If we're being led, how much closer are we to what we are being led towards? Today, our people are in a condition that is worse than we were in 1930. So either those teachings do not work, or we just don't understand them properly. I think the second point is the point that I take, is that we just don't understand all of it properly. And part of it is that everyone wants to be in charge. You've got these egos that want to run everything. And if someone comes up with a different view, then they are to be castigated, they are to be exposed, they are to be publicly shamed and whipped. See, that is the reality of what those lessons have turned into today. And that is a religious point of view. If somebody wants that and they benefit from it, because there are people who benefit from it. I mean, benefit well from it.
Right.
If they benefit from that, they have to fight for what they believe, and they're going to come after me. And I don't want them to do anything other than what they have to do. They don't have to believe in what I'm saying. They don't have to know what I'm saying. They will know it after they're told that that's what they know. And that's what's happening right now. I have a video. If you want, I could send you a video. It's 3 minutes and 33 seconds in length, where they discover the exact same things I just finished talking about, that they've been fighting me for 10 years. They just discovered those things to be true. It's their discovery. So it's all about power. It's never about what is true. It's never about what is right and exact among those types of groups and organizations. And I don't want to win them over.
Well,
I stay out of their way.
Paul, you just said something that sparked my mind. It's like in the lessons, I've always heard the term right and exact. Okay? So I'm into being right and exact. And if I was wrong about something, I was also taught that peace is an acronym for proper education. Allah corrects error. Okay? Or proper education always correct error. But we would say Allah corrects error. So that being said, if you have a belief and you find that that you were mistaken about your belief, it's now up to you whether to cling on to something that you've just had for a long time, or to accept whatever road truth leads you down. And I'm one of these people that is not scared to go down these roads and find where the truth really leads me, even if it breaks certain affiliations that I may have had before. Because some people are not always ready for certain information, and that's just what it is. So I totally, what you said, resonates with me, because I see a lot of people will take certain things on face value. You might have been studying these lessons for most of your life, but did you ever stop to think, about some of the small details in the lessons? Like the swimming of 9,000 miles, or the, running the devil 2,200 miles into the Caucasus Mountains. Like, did you ever stop to just do that math, or did you take it on face value because you believed the person giving it to you knew better than you did? You see, and that's where we run a risk. Like, you always have to strive to verify. Like,
you got to
fact check
the
nothing.
fact checker.
Yes, fact check the fact checker. Don't take nothing on face value. I don't care, even if it seems like, you know what I mean? It's from your parent. Do the knowledge for real, for real. Do the knowledge for real, for real. And I think a lot of us were guilty of just going along with tradition, or just what we've been taught, and not really sitting and thinking about some of these things and saying, wait a minute.
Well, if you think,
does that make sense?
At one point, I do believe that religion was created to control man. Like, there was a godly place, a heavenly place, earthly place. And I feel at some point all of these different religions were created to confuse, divide, and control people. And at some point, there were just people kind of, writing these scripts. Like, okay, this, the Bible is written by a human, and so forth and so on. The Quran, the Torah. So it's not so far-fetched to believe that at some point somebody, switch the narratives a little bit to fit their agenda. So I can,
Right. And a lot of these times, the people that will switch the narrative for their agenda are the ones that we look at as the ones in power, or the authoritative ones within said religion. You see what I'm saying? Like, the new religion right now is science. Okay? Y'all motherfuckers trust scientists the same way people trusted priests and all this type of stuff back in the days. And when they say this is from the word of God back in then, y'all believe it. And the same way a scientist will tell you something now, oh, well, he's closer to God, or he's closer to that knowledge. Wow. So I've got to believe what he says. And so we're not fact checking the fact checker. We're not doing the knowledge to the scientist or to the priest or whoever we feel is authoritative over us, who's giving us certain information. And I'm saying that can be dangerous. But due to knowledge.
But in that same instance, you would be using in order to fact check this scientist, you would probably use the same equations and formulas that they taught you.
Right. Well, hopefully not.
How do you ultimately?
That's what I'm saying.
To the root.
But listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You understand what I'm saying? There's many ways to get to a different place. 2 + 5 is 7. 3 + 4 is 7. 1 + 6 is 7. I can get to the number 7 multiple different ways, but it's when they try to force you down one road is where the problem comes in.
So I have a question. So does that necessarily equate to that the struggle between these ideologies is building your brain, or walking towards some form of harmony or synthesis of everything,
I mean, for me, I feel like by the time we, especially us in the 5% Nation, like, I think even more stuff was compounded into what when we got it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a numerology aspect that was added in, to the 5% Nation, the way we break down the mathematics and all that. Like, that's numerology. Like, that's not nothing new, really. That's just something the Father Allah incorporated into the lesson. You see what I'm saying? So it could have been a mixture of, yes, a little bit of Islam coming from a noble Drew Ali, then a little bit of Buddhism because this man was from India. And then even the way it was presented was almost like a Christian preacher type of way. Like the way Farrakhan and the bills, he's building in the tradition of a damn Christian preacher.
Well, look,
he's using all the bells and whistles and nothing's wrong with that, because these are the people that you're teaching here in the wilderness of North America. This is what they resonate with. So you have to come to the people as the people a lot of times. And I think that's kind of what he's saying Farad was doing back then. And, shit, we do it now. The gods do it now. We come to the people as the people. You don't see us in white robes and all this type of shit. That's why they fuck with us. You see what I'm saying? Because we curse and but we're going to say, hey, did you know the black man was God? Do you know this sign? You know what I mean? Yeah. And we trying to elevate your mind, but still you feel like we one of y'all.
This is big. Yo, if I look at it from a martial arts perspective, right? Particularly from Bruce Lee, he wrote a book called Tao Jeet Kune Do. Mm-hmm. And the process of Jeet Kune Do was that he realized that if you looked at martial arts from the extreme point of view, in the sense that, what's the best martial arts? If you're Korea, it's going to be Taekwondo. If you're in Japan, it's going to be karate. What he did is he took from all of those systems.
That's it. Whatever works the best the time.
And ultimately today, that's evolved to what we know as mixed martial arts. Mm. And you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and when you talk about the dynamic of struggle, what's going to make you live is what's going to make you find the truth. You know what I mean? So maybe that's something, there's a bigger scheme to all of this.
So, Paul, real quick, let's talk about in the lessons, before we get out of here soon. In the lessons, it was saying, why didn't their own people come and get them? And said, their own people didn't know they were over here. When did their own people find out they were over here? Approximately 60 years ago. So, can we build on that little piece of the lesson, Paul?
Okay, yeah, that's referring to 1875 and the writing of a book called Slavery by Mahatma Phule. And that book, Slavery, is dedicated to the people who fought against chattel slavery here in this country. And that book rang across the Indian subcontinent and gave hope to the slaves in India, who are still there, the Shudra caste as well as the Dalit caste, untouchables. That's when they found out we were here, through that book in 1875. There's no book that was written by our own people in Mecca. Okay, they didn't. You can't show that same thing occurring amongst the Muslims. You just can't show it. It's possible, but someone has to present all of these things. It has to be presented. And what's happening is that when you study it, one will discover that there's some things that are not consistent. And when that happens, there is a choice. And that choice is, if you say what you know, if you find out and you say what you know, there is a price to pay. There is a price to pay. And that price includes public shaming. Okay?
Martyrdom.
That's not, I'm just saying there is a price to pay. And one has to be able to pay that price. Why do people fall into the type of a group think that happens all too often? Because it's comfortable. Because that's how you get rewarded. You get rewarded. You get the pat on the back. Everyone likes you. You don't have people chasing you down, trying to debate you every time you open up your mouth. You don't have that.
Paul, let me ask you something. So we're about to get out of here soon, but what do you say to the people that feel you're not qualified to speak on this subject, that, a subject like Master Farad, that should only be, approached by, let's say only a minister of the Nation of Islam or something like that? Like, what do you say to that?
I say they're right. I never claimed that I'm qualified. I'm not a scholar. I'm not an academic. I'm not like a intellectual. I don't have any of those qualifying degrees. However, it's not about me. It's about the concepts. It's about the issues. It's about the words that the speaker's saying. Are those words qualified? Can you battle those words? can you show that those words are not true? If you can't show that those words are not true, that's what they have to fight against, is the idea. And they think, I guess the people who think that I'm not qualified, they're right. I wouldn't say, I never came off saying that I'm qualified to do that, do this or do that. It's people who are qualified who have dug the world into the pit that it's in right now. Mm. So I'm not claiming that I'm qualified, that I have some type of special qualifying things or anything. Just look at what I'm saying and weigh it for yourself. And they've already done this. See, these are things that people already know because they went over my videos with a fine-toothed comb. They went over it with a fine-toothed comb. And these are things they know. They know this, and they're slowly starting to admit it. I have a video that's 3 minutes and 33 seconds where I can show you people saying that they have made these discoveries after chasing me down because I'm not qualified to discover these things. You have to be qualified. Galileo was not qualified to look through his telescope. So he was imprisoned for life, but he wasn't qualified. You know, he wasn't qualified to do that. And you have to pay the price because you're not qualified to know these things. The ones who are qualified are the ones who are telling people, this is what you must think, this is what you must see, this is what you must hear. That's blind, deaf, and dumb. When you have to speak what someone else tells you to speak, that's called dumb. If you have to see what someone tells you that you see, that's called blind. If you can only hear what someone tells you that you can hear, that's called deaf. I'm not qualified, but I'm not blind, deaf, and dumb. That's the difference. They're qualified. All of these scholars, they're qualified.
I got
but
somebody.
I can see.
Buddha.
Buddha means the wide awake man. W.D. Farad said, big fields await the wide awake man. Mm. Big fields await the wide awake man. And the name Buddha, the word Buddha, means the wide awake man.
Well, then I'm a damn Buddha because I'm awoke. She tells me I'm an insomniac. I'm so awoke, I'm an insomniac is what Digger tells me.
That's my nickname for Jamar.
Real quick, this also one of our viewers by the name of Kitten says, so basically if you believe what this dude is saying, you don't believe the lessons that Clarence 13X gave the youth because W.D. Farad wrote them. Are you still a 5%er or just don't believe the NOI? Well, first of all...
Okay, can she hear us? Can she hear us?
No, she can't hear you. She can hear me. And let me just say, I'm not a believer of anything. Okay? I'm not here to believe. I deal with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I'm not a believer, okay? I go, like I said, where truth leads me, okay? First of all, a lot of what people believe W.D. Farad wrote in these lessons were not his writings. There's only certain things that Farad actually wrote. Some things were written by Elijah Muhammad. Some things may have even been added by secretaries and things like that. All I'm saying is, for instance, we were speaking on the actual facts and the solar facts, correct? Paul, didn't we bring this up? And you brought to my attention that actual facts, and so that wasn't part of the original 120. That was in stuff out of the problem book and stuff like that, correct?
That's correct. And no one has ever pointed that out, that there is no lesson called actual facts written by W.D. Farad.
Right, but we also have solar facts, okay? I got a whole other show to blow that up. But anyway,
I have to say this. May I say this quickly? That
I'm sitting here like this sounds like flat Earth. This has flat Earth written all over it.
Trust me. Listen, there's a lot of things that rock things to the core. See, first of all, the problem some people will have is that if you did believe that W.D. Farad was Allah in the person that came here on the person, then anything to dispute that disputes what he's saying, if you show that what he said was incorrect, then how could God be incorrect? You see what I'm saying? Like in some people's minds, you're almost challenging God himself with this type of information, and this is why it sounds like heresy to certain people. But I'm going to tell you, I've spoken with Brother Paul at length, and I could tell you there's not a malicious bone in this man's body. Like, he actually has love for WD Fraud, and I believe that he just is striving to bring clarification to the subject.
I do have one final question from me. Brother Paul?
Yes.
What made you just wake up one day and say, you know, what I'm just curious to know what sparked you to go on this journey?
Good question.
Wake up one day and start to study the lessons.
What gave you the realization of this? That,
right. Like,
hang on, wait a minute.
Like,
Farad is not from Arabia. He's really from India.
Like what made you start scratching your head and feeling like 2 + 2 wasn't equaling 4?
Right.
I think it was a number of things. It wasn't just one thing that tips that. It was looking at those problems, or looking at the problems that people have in explaining how those lessons make sense. Looking at those various problems, there has to be one way that satisfies me, that is going to make me happy, that, yeah, this is what this man is saying. And I didn't use that language right. I mean, it's not going to make me happy. It's just that there has to be one way that actually fits.
Okay.
The pieces of the puzzle have to be put together so that there is no blank spots, there's no extra spots. So
there's no room for debate, basically.
It all has to fit together seamlessly. And when you look at all of the information, all of it, all of the teachings, not just one or two little points, but when you look at all of it and put it all together, it all adds up to some very basic positions. And two of those positions I've talked about already is that W.D. Farad comes from India. Okay. And the second position is that W.D. Farad did not teach Islam. He taught Dhamma, or Buddhism. Now, I'm open to learning if those positions are wrong. I'm open to learning that.
Well,
however, it's going to take evidence to sort of let me know what is right and what is wrong, because I know now that the position and the evidence that I see is there.
Well, next week we're gonna have Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad come here and present his position. You know, in all fairness to all sides, and then the following week, you know, all things go well, we will have a debate.
Well, you have to get him
not to be confused with dialogue.
Not to be confused with dialogue or discussion. We will have a debate.
Only because I know what happened last night in the discussions. Okay? And you know that. Do you know what happened last night?
Do I know what happened last night?
Yeah.
Well, I know that I spoke with you and I spoke with him, and you know.
Okay.
Do you know together a debate?
Right. Do you have any knowledge of the debate versus dialogue thing that happened in our discussions?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
what is
yes.
it? What do you see it as? Tell me.
Well, we're gonna do a debate. I see it as a debate, but there was words. You know, there was some little words being thrown around like discussion and debate, and I think we're trying to get a clarity of exactly what we're striving to do. Because
okay, and I did, if I may say, I did agree that if he wants to debate, I will debate him.
right,
There's not going to be any dialogue. You see, because what they're doing is when they say dialogue, when they come up and they come up short, when they come up short, then they come up short. I don't want it to be like it was a discussion. It was a dialogue. It's a debate.
right.
Because he's challenged me.
And there will be a
same
clear
man,
winner and loser. You're saying if
they've
it
been
was a
following.
discussion, there is no clear winner or loser. That's what you're saying. So
right.
you want to
that's
make
what
it.
they're saying.
Right,
That's
right.
what they're saying. That's the reason that they popped up within moments of you putting up the flyer. They sniffed it out and said they want to come on the program with me. I don't jump up on their stage. I don't follow them around. I don't care who they talk to. I don't care what they believe in. I don't care how many followers they have, what they believe and what they teach.
Listen, real quick, we're gonna.
However,
okay.
However, if they come after me like that, let's make it a debate. Let's get it settled. Let's get it on. Let's get it done. It's not a dialogue.
Get it on.
You heard that? Brother Paul wants all the smoke, ladies and
He wants
gentlemen.
all
Right
the
here on the
smoke.
You Know What I Mean Godcast.
Now listen, real quick. Kitten is hitting me back saying nobody knew they were gods here in North America until W.D. Fard came and told us. Put lost, not lost. She or he put loss. I hope it's a she with the name Kitten. Mad respect for you, bro. No longer fucking with you. Oh, I'm sorry, Kitten. Get the fuck out of here and let the door split you where, hit you where the good Lord split you. Fuck out of here. Talking about I'm no longer fucking with you. Fuck out of here, Kitten. Bye. Anyway.
They're trying to process information.
No,
you're going to be met with
no.
resistance, but
fuck out of here. Okay? Anyway. Listen, Brother Paul,
I tried, kidding. I tried.
We appreciate you coming on and building with us, and we hope that you will return in 2 weeks because there's claims that you're not going to show up for a debate, that you're actually going to be scared to come.
I don't see it. Wait. I've said publicly I will debate. Has anyone else said publicly that they will debate?
Okay.
You need to get that man to say publicly that it is a debate.
Got you.
Okay. He's got to say it publicly. Otherwise,
we got 1 minute before our tape goes.
Okay. Otherwise, leave me alone.
Got you.
Paul wants to smoke. He with the shits.
Thank you, Brother Paul. We appreciate you for coming to the You Know What I Mean Godcast. You are welcome back anytime. We look forward to get on board the wheel, parts 3 and 4. Quickly tell the people where they can contact you if they'd like to.
Paul at worlddharmafoundation.com. Peace.
There it is. And once again, for the You Know What I Mean Godcast, I'm Lord Jamal.
I'm Digga Digga.
Peace. Peace. It's the absence of all confusion. United we stand, divided we fall. 2 fingers together is the real peace sign, y'all. Brand Nubian peace gear. Hoodies. T-shirts. Snapbacks. Available at hoodg.com. Get yours today.